Nearly half of all homeowners say they have at least one regret about buying their home. And here in Raleigh, where buyers were waiving inspections and dropping tens of thousands in due diligence just to win, that number is probably even higher. I've been in this real estate market for 10 years, and today let me break down the 5 biggest reasons Raleigh buyers are regretting their purchase in 2026 and what you should do differently if you're buying this year. Most buyers falter before they even submit an offer. They calculate the principal and interest and stop there. The mortgage app gives them one number, they get excited, they start shopping for furniture, and nobody goes back to run the full picture. In Raleigh, the gap between what the mortgage app showed and what actually started hitting the bank account has been a shock for a lot of people. I've watched this play out firsthand with a family that I know. They moved from a home they'd owned since before 2018, modest payment, low rate, manageable. Then they built a home at the peak of the market. They went from a $200,000 home to an $800,000 build, and their interest rate jumped from around 3% to around 7%. Their monthly payment tripled from roughly $1,300 to roughly $3,700, and now they can't even travel or do any of the things that they actually really love. The financial pressure changed everything about how they live. That's what an underestimated payment actually costs you. But this happened before you even add everything else on top of the mortgage. And by the way, in a few minutes, I'm gonna show you guys what those compromises are doing to resale values right now. You'll want to stick around for that. Wake County completed a fresh property reevaluation in 2024. Tax bills now reflect updated market values, often higher than buyers expected when they ran their numbers a year or two earlier. The combined rate for properties inside the city of Raleigh runs around 87 cents per $100 of assessed value. For a home in the mid 400s, you're looking somewhere around $3,900 in taxes a year. If your math was based on what the previous owner was paying, that update may have hit pretty hard. And then there's insurance. North Carolina homeowner insurance rates went up on average of 7.5% on June 1st of 2025, with another 7.5% scheduled for June of 2026. The original request from insurers was more than a 40% increase statewide. The commissioner negotiated it down, but it's still real and it's still ongoing. Some individual policyholders have seen much steeper jumps. WRAL reported on one North Carolina homeowner whose premium jumped more than 40% in a single year. And then there's also HOA fees. The new construction communities that exploded across Raleigh's suburbs almost all come with them. Those fees can go up too. HOAs can also levy special assessments for major repairs. They enforce restrictions some buyers never fully read before closing. Buyers who moved fast and didn't request the reserve study or read the CC&Rs have ended up on the wrong side of a fee hike they never saw coming. Add in Raleigh's summer AC costs, and if you're coming from the Midwest or the Northeast, you are not ready for that power bill from June through September. And the real monthly number can look completely different from what you modeled. The regret usually isn't buying the house, but realizing the payment controls your life. A payment that doubled or tripled reshapes your whole life, your vacations, your savings, your daily sense of breathing room. The buyers who are struggling most didn't just get the payment wrong, they also didn't think through what the drive was going to feel like 6 months in. That's where we're going next. But first, if you're watching this and thinking about buying in Raleigh this year, my contact information is in the description box below. I work with buyers in this market every day, and I can help you run the real numbers before you're locked in. It's a Sunday afternoon, you're driving out to an open house in Fuquay Varina or Wake Forest. Roads are clear, the neighborhood feels quiet, you've got space, you've got green, and the home checks every single box. You think this is it. Now, take that same drive on a Tuesday morning at 7:30. That gap between what sold you and what you actually live with, I hear about it all the time from buyers who stretched into the outer suburbs. On paper, it all makes sense. More space, newer homes, and better value, but your map app isn't showing you what that drive looks like during rush hour. Raleigh's peak commute windows run from 7 to 9 in the morning and 4:30 to 6:30 in the evening. And during those times, the reality feels very different from what you saw on a Sunday. The infrastructure here has lagged behind the growth, and it's well documented. The final section of the I-540 outer loop, which would ease traffic for southern and western Wake County, isn't expected to be completely done until 2028. The Capitol Boulevard upgrade, a major route for Wake Forest commuters, started around $93 million and has jumped to over $1.3 billion with multiple delays and cost increases. These are real infrastructure issues that buyers are dealing with every single day. And later, I'm gonna break down what buyers assumed about this market long term and why that turned into the biggest regret of all, so stay with me. And then there's the growth surprise. Buyers moved to these areas thinking they'd stay quiet. The reality is that's not how Raleigh's outer suburbs work. Wake Forest is adding about 7 new residents every single day. Fuquay and Holly Springs are seeing the same thing. That empty land across from your neighborhood, it may already be zoned for thousands of homes. There's a massive mixed-use project moving forward southwest of Raleigh right now, bringing in thousands of new units. Construction becomes the norm, traffic builds, and that quiet feeling starts to disappear. What felt peaceful when you bought doesn't stay that way for very long here. The commute and the growth shock hit hard. But there's another group of buyers who got hit in a completely different way. They bought brand new and they thought they were safe. Spoiler alert, they weren't. Most buyers walk into a new build and feel that sense of relief. No previous owners, no deferred maintenance, nothing to worry about. But that feeling doesn't always last. I'm seeing buyers pay full price for a new build, move in, and with months deal with problems a brand new house wasn't supposed to have. That's the new construction illusion, and it's one of the most consistent regrets I hear from Raleigh buyers right now. Agents and inspectors here have documented the same patterns: grading issues that cause water to pool near foundations, rushed framing, HVAC systems not properly connected, insulation cut to hit deadlines. High volume building creates real risks. Builders in high demand communities are under pressure to close on schedule, and when labor is stretched and crews are juggling multiple projects, something has to give. It usually shows up in the finished quality. Then there's the contract side. Builder contracts are written to protect the builder. The average new construction home in Raleigh takes about 6 to 8 months to complete, and delays are common. We have supply chain issues, labor shortages, weather, permitting backlogs, and also no penalty if the builder's late. But if the buyer can't close when the builder's ready, then they can face daily fees. Buyers who locked in rates and then got delayed by the builder have ended up in expensive situations, and most buyers don't bring in an independent attorney to review the contract before signing. Builder incentives like lower closing costs if they use their lender can come with strings that don't show up until closing day. But there's one part nobody talks about enough. Buyers who fell in love with a really nice new building but had to go far out to afford it, and they're now living with a gap between the life they imagined and the life they actually have. I've had clients describe it the same way. They love the house, but it's an hour from downtown. There's nothing around it, and they miss their friends, their favorite restaurants, and their regular routine. The house isn't enough to make up for being far from everything that made daily life feel like theirs. New construction doesn't mean safety either. It just means that the problems are newer. Now, all three of these regrets, the payment shock, the commute, the new build, they share something in common. In every case, buyers made a compromise they wouldn't have made in a normal market, and those compromises are showing up in the data right now in a way that's hard to ignore. Some of the people calling me right now are buyers I helped find homes 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago, and the conversation is almost always the same. They love the house, but they're ready to move, and the market is telling them something they don't want to hear. At the peak of the Raleigh frenzy, over 70% of homes were selling above asking. Bidding wars were normal, due diligence windows were tight, inspections were waived or treated as informational with no room to negotiate. And the reality is, when buyers feel rushed like that, the outcomes don't hold up. They're far more likely to regret the decision later. Now the market has flipped. As of early 2026, about 70% of homes in Raleigh are selling below list price. Nearly 1 in 5 listings has a price reduction. Homes are sitting about 30% longer than they were a year ago. Raleigh even ranked 3rd in the country for the biggest jump in days on market based on a March 2026 RE/MAX report. So the leverage has completely shifted, and buyers who made the wrong compromises are now trying to sell into this environment. Here's what I'm seeing right now in the resale pipeline. Homes backing to busy roads or power lines. In a seller's market, you could justify that. Buyers just wanted to win. Now they have time and they have options, and they're skipping those homes entirely. Homes with location issues are hard to overcome. I'm dealing with one right now where the location is creating real hesitation, and the seller is finding out this isn't something you can fix with price. Then there's layout problems. Bad flow, not enough bathrooms, poor storage. Those felt manageable when the market was hot. Now they're deal breakers. And this is where it really stings. About 67% of homes in Raleigh area lost value over the past year. Some buyers who paid peak prices in 2021 and 2022 and now need to move are listing at or below what they paid. Most people don't regret owning a home, they regret how they bought it. And the last regret, the one that hits the hardest for a specific group of buyers, has nothing to do with the house itself. It's about what they believed this market would do. There's a version of a buyer who actually did a lot right. They picked a good neighborhood, got a solid price for the market, the house itself works, and they still regret buying. That buyer got caught in the hype. Raleigh is, and still is, a great market. The job growth is real. Apple announced plans for a major campus in the Research Triangle and committed to thousands of jobs, and other major employers followed. Raleigh-Durham is one of the top tech hubs in North America. That part isn't hype. So the buyers struggling right now aren't struggling because Raleigh is weak, but because of how they bought and what they thought would happen next. At the peak, prices pushed into the low to mid 400s and beyond, with values climbing close to 18% in a single year. Buyers came in during that run and assumed it would keep going up. They built their entire plan around that. If things got tight, they'd sell in a year or two and still come out ahead, is what they told themselves. That math didn't hold. In 2025, appreciation was essentially flat or even slightly negative. Zillow has average values sitting in the low to mid 430s, down a couple percent from the year before. Redfin shows median prices right around the low 420s, basically flat. That's not a crash though, but it's nowhere near the 15 to 18% gains people were expecting when they stretched their budgets. And mortgage rates are still sitting in the low to mid 6s range, with most forecasts keeping them in that 6% to 7% band for now. So if you waived protections, paid peak pricing, expected to refinance into a 4% rate, and sell for a profit in 18 months, you're now dealing with high holding costs, little to no appreciation, and no clear exit. That's where the regret comes from. The reality is, if you're not confident you'll stay in the home at least 5 to 7 years, your risk goes way up. Raleigh is still a strong long-term market. The jobs, the universities, the lifestyle, it's all there, but it's not a shortcut anymore. Now, let's get into what you actually do about it. 5 things. And if you do all 5, you're already ahead of most buyers in this market. First, model your true monthly costs before you fall in love with a home. That means principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA, utilities, and a maintenance reserve. As I said before, in Raleigh, property taxes run around 87 cents per $100 of assessed value. Insurance is rising, back-to-back 7.5% increases in 2025 and 2026. HOAs in new construction communities can add a few hundred a month. And summer utility bills can surprise you if you're coming from a cooler climate, so run the full number up front. Next, test your commute the right way. Do the drive on a Tuesday morning at 7:30, not a Sunday afternoon. The reality is the Triangle's infrastructure has lagged behind its growth. The final I-540 loop won't be done until 2028, and US 1 has already had multiple delays. What looks easy on a map can feel completely different in real life, especially from places like Fuquay Varina or Wake Forest during rush hour. Then, treat new construction like a resale. Bring in your own inspector before closing, have an attorney review the builder contracts before you sign, know what protections you actually have if there are delays or quality issues, and understand how North Carolina's non-refundable due diligence fee works before you start increasing that number to win. Also, know your non-negotiables before you start shopping. Backing up to power lines, a layout that feels off, an area that might not stay quiet with nearby rezoning. Decide what you won't compromise on and stick to it when the pressure hits. And finally, buy with a long-term plan. If you're not planning to stay at least 5 to 7 years, your risk will go way up. Raleigh still has strong fundamentals, but the buyers winning in 2026 aren't the fastest, but the most informed. If you're thinking about buying and want to run the real numbers on a specific home or neighborhood before you commit, shoot me an email at hello@davisandmaine.com today. I'll put together a full breakdown so you know exactly what you're stepping into. And if you're questioning whether Raleigh is still worth buying into, I linked a video that answers that directly. It breaks down something most buyers aren't tracking. That's the kind of data that shows where the next wave of appreciation is most likely. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.